And so this narrative built up over the years, which was supported by some evidence, and not incontrovertible evidence, that gender affirming care saves lives. It
Mhm.
prevents suicides, it saves lives. Um, the narrative has, in recent years, shifted, where there's been a lot more skepticism about the validity of that claim.
Mhm.
And when people have looked at this using more rigorous methods, and I'm not going to say the most rigorous methods, but more rigorous methods, there's been a suggestion that maybe this isn't the case. And the apotheosis of this was in the recent Supreme Court case, where when Chase Strangio, who was the lead counsel for the ACLU, trying to defend ostensibly the position of the United States to preserve gender affirming care in the Scrimeti versus US case, basically admitted, or at least conceded, I would maybe the better word under oath, that the evidence that gender affirming care, or puberty blockers, I guess specifically, prevents suicide is there's not strong evidence for it. So how do we square the circle here?
Mhm.
How do because a lot of we're getting critiqued now for saying things like would the classic line, and to the extent I don't even know if this was actually how many times it's actually said by clinicians, but this line that gets reported a lot in the press of, would you rather have a live son or a dead daughter, or a dead daughter or
Yeah.
a dead son or a live daughter, those kind of sort of scare
Mhm.
methods on the under the belief that gender affirming care saves lives, and the evidence maybe not bearing it out as strongly as we hoped it would. No, I shouldn't say as we hoped it was, we thought it would.
Mhm.
What is your perspective of this as an in the trenches
Yeah.
provider?
Well, it's a great question, and it always people get so scientific about science when it suits their ideology,
Yeah.
and what I often find in this debate is this unfair wielding of what evidence would be required to convince you that something works. So for me, like this is my central criticism of the Cass report is this unjustifiably high burden of proof that was put on this very interesting and controversial problem. But when I look at suicide, when a kid comes to me in suicidal distress of any type, I'm very lucky because 80% of people die on their first attempt. And so I'm already seeing a group of people who I'm so lucky to be seeing. I'm so happy to be seeing. And I'm going to ask them the basics. What's going on? How are things worse for you? What's been driving this? Tell me about your life and all these things. And if a child brings to me that they're feeling targeted or persecuted or they don't like their body or their shape or whatever it is, and then we start talking about this and I find out that there's gender nonconformity, this is going to become an area of my clinical interest, regardless of what the evidence says in it. Just like I don't have a randomized controlled trial of how much family abuse contributes to suicide, but there's no evidence that I can see that would establish without a reasonable doubt that abuse within a family could lead to suicide. There's no randomized controlled trials of abuse in a family and these types of things. And so I have to take what the kid is telling me and then just apply it to their clinical scenario. From the broader view as a suicidologist, it really, really matters to me what causes their distress. And all I want to do is for a child to live with as little distress as possible and achieve the most amount of their potential as possible. And there's probably 300 things that I could list that ruin a child's quality of life, and there's hundreds of things that could improve their quality of life. And for me, one of the things that always gets lost in this discussion of this is, does the child feel accepted, supported, safe, and loved? That is going to be much more of a suicidal factor than did they receive gender affirming care or not.